Hey, Mark McKenzie here, just making a quick video about professional employer organizations or PEOs, specifically what they do and how they can help businesses overcome obstacles and sustain long-term profitable growth. So I thought a visual would be helpful, right? Visuals are always helpful. So if you look at this, you have the timeline going across the x-axis. That's kind of your time horizon, and you have the growth going up the y-axis. And a lot of businesses, I know it's not as easy as it looks, but a lot of businesses will have this fairly aggressive growth trajectory when they open their business. And then things kind of begin to plateau a little bit, and you get into this holding pattern where the business is still profitable. Things are still good, maybe not great, but there's usually some headwinds. And those headwinds usually have to do with your people, their people problems. And sometimes it's one thing, but usually it's a combination of a couple different things. Most problems are. And so A stands for assets. And it has to do with how you're able to attract quality employees into your organization. Why would they come work for you as opposed to one of your maybe bigger, better competitors? Has to do with how you're engaging with your current workforce. Recent Gallup study showed 68% of employees are either actively or passively disengaged. And so that obviously has profound impacts on profit and productivity of your business. And the other thing has to do with retention, right? And so you can find a great employee and you can get them engaged, but are you able to retain them? And so that'll also do with assets. Who's your best employee, right? So it's a great question to ask. So who's your best employee? What would happen if you were to find another one of them? What impact would that have on the profitability of the business? What would happen if you lost that employee? What impact would that have on the profitability of the business? Employee turnover. Employee turnover is one of those things, kind of like an iceberg, right? So you can see some of the costs associated with turnover above the waterline. But like most icebergs, the mass is usually below the waterline, and that can obviously have significant impact on the culture and the productivity of the employees that are left behind when an employee leaves. So A is for assets, B is for benefits. So here's the thing with benefits, and benefits is a big part of impacting your ability to attract quality employees. The thing with benefits, 3 P's really. One is you want to be able to offer Fortune 500 plans, right? So you want to be able to offer rich plans. The other P is you want to be able to control premium dollars, right? And so small businesses are at a competitive disadvantage when it comes to controlling premiums. And so it's always a challenge for a small business is how do we get these great plans, but then how do we control premiums and pricing? And then the third thing is participation, right? So you can have great plans and maybe you're able to contain premiums, but if none of your employees are using the plans, if there's no utilization, you're not really getting much of a return on your investment dollars. And so you want to be able to drive participation with the plans. Since you want to be an employer of choice, right? You want to be an employer of choice as opposed to just an employer of paycheck. And so if you can get your employees utilizing your benefits, they're more likely to stick around. They're more likely to be engaged with your business, and they're more likely to be productive. C, the third thing here is cover your ass. We'll spell it like that. And so this has to do with managing and mitigating liability, right? And so there's a lot of liability with having a workforce, and you have the government alphabet soup with things like ACA and the Department of Labor and the EEOC and FMLA and FLSA and OSHA. And you have all the compliance that goes along with that. And then you also have employment practices liability. So divorce, right? So things like wrongful termination and harassment and discrimination. And then you also have workers' compensation exposures. And liability is kind of like real estate. If you're selling a home, you only need one buyer, right? You don't need all the buyers, you just need one. Liability is kind of the same way. You only need one lawsuit or one claim to derail the profitability of the business. And now we'll add just one thing here. Now what we're dealing with, all of us, both professionally and personally, is this pandemic. And it is certainly a massive, massive disruption. And it's forcing some companies to pivot. It's forcing other companies to look at how they do business and evaluate options for moving forward. And so we have this disruption that we're all dealing with right now, which is certainly impacting profitability and growth for a lot of companies. And so what the PEO does is help to provide solutions around all of that, helping to become better positioned to attract, again, key employees into your organization, contain costs, and to manage liability. And ultimately what this looks like is a PEO partnership helps to get back on that growth trajectory, helping you get the right people in the right places. Again, containing costs, it's one thing to drive top line revenue, but if it's not filtering down into the profitability of the business, you're really just making more work for yourself. So you want to be able to drive profit, and you want to be able to mitigate and manage as much of that liability as possible. And that those really are the roles of the PEO partnership, is to get you to where you want to go a little bit faster, a little bit more profitably, and with less risk. Hope this video was helpful. Thanks.